And meanwhile, the partial government shutdown continues, but a potential way to break the logjam in Washington is now surfacing that could reopen the government. House Democratic leaders are reportedly considering a maneuver that would go around Speaker John Boehner and force a vote on a continuing resolution without defunding Obamacare. Now, if they can get enough Republicans, that is, to go along with them. Let's discuss it now. Alan Colmes is the host of the Alan Colmes Show and author of Thank the Liberals for Saving America. And Tammy Bruce is Tammy Bruce is a radio talk show host. Both are Fox News contributors, and good to have you both here on
Great to be here.
Tammy, I want to start with you because we have the House passing this bill that says, hey, let's give back pay to the furloughed federal workers, but yet again, it wasn't clean, so it's another one of the so-called piecemeal bills. So that the Senate was bound to reject, as they just did, so they're not even going to touch it right now. What's the House strategy here?
Well, they may have fallen into, I don't think they had a strategy in the beginning. I think they've fallen into a dynamic that those of us who have to change our budgets have to do all the time. This is actually the perfect way to deal with overspending, is that you deal with line item by line item. Now, why they don't want to do that is because, of course, they don't want everyone to realize exactly what we can cut. This 40% slowdown of the government is showing Americans how big government is really not even needed, that people aren't missing it, which is why Obama is going overboard with closing open-air monuments to try to make people feel the pain. So I think that the Democrats are nervous and Obama's nervous about this piecemeal kind of approach, because the longer this goes on, the longer Americans are going to find out we can deal with less government, and it'll even be better for us.
81% of the people don't want the shutdown. And the reason the monuments are closed is for security reasons. And that's decided by the Secret Service and the FBI, not by the president. John Boehner got himself into a box, and he and Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, had a deal for a clean continuing resolution without attachment to defunding Obamacare. Boehner could not then, even after he said he would deliver that deal, because he then was kowtowed by the far right wing of his caucus, and that's what happened. There was a deal on the table that Boehner and Reid agreed to. He couldn't deliver. He couldn't bring it in.
So does this somehow put the Dems in position for a power move?
I think the Democrats can... they're trying to solve the problem by this clean resolution, by this arcane way. Basically, nobody really understands the rules of the House and Senate, but apparently they're using these rules in order to try to get forth a clean bill. Yeah, they're trying to solve the problem.
Look, I would say that the Republicans in the House need to keep their shields up. We've seen what the Congress has done.
Shields up against who?
Against this notion of a resolution that doesn't deal with any of our spending issues. Maybe they can inject some fiscal sanity. We can go line item by line item. That is what terrifies people who want to spend us into oblivion. Look, these are the same people who've gotten us into this mess in the first place. We've got to do something different, and it is the American people's reaction that has pushed Boehner and the House into having to deal with this recently.
Is it the American people, or is it Boehner's own caucus, Alan?
American people voted for Obama twice. They voted for someone they knew would reform health care. Most of the American people are against the government shutdown. They're blaming the Republicans, whether that's rightly or wrongly, over the Democrats.
Look, in 1996, this was the same argument in 95 and 96, and in 1996, with the same arguments that it was all the Republicans' fault. They gained 2 seats in the Senate. They lost 2 in the House. And they maintained control of Congress for quite some time. So I'm thinking, and as the American people, look, we had the first Gallup poll of the 3 rolling days, all inclusive of the shutdown, and Obama's approval number has gone down to 41. They know that he's
Congress is at 10%.
Well, you know what, guys? Quite frankly, all due respect to both of you, you can spew out all the numbers and statistics that you want to. Bottom line, the people are sick of it. They're like, I'm looking at my wallet, and the numbers I'm looking at are in my checkbook, and they're dwindling.
And they want a change. They want this to end in the sense of what's been happening to the economy. People want jobs. They want some
and less than a year ago, they re-elected Obama and added more Democrats to Congress because they don't like the way
what they don't want is business as usual, and this stops business as usual.
Tammy, let's talk about that faction in the Republican Party, the Tea Party members.
Sure.
I mean, look, just like the Dems they're supposed to support and back the president. He's their quarterback. Then John Boehner is the Republicans' quarterback. Why can't they get together and support him? They're putting him in, leaving him in a precarious position and leaving him in the pressure cooker.
Look, on this bill you mentioned in the House that paid the furloughed workers back pay, that was unanimous. So the Democrats and the Republicans came together in the House all together.
Yeah, but you knew and they knew, Alan. You take it up. They knew if it wasn't clean that it wasn't going to
get looked at.
When
it came to 2010, people are forgetting 2010. John Boehner owes his position in to the massive success of 2010 and the Tea Party people that came in at that point.
The Tea Party then lost in 2012. They lost seats in 2012. He is tying himself to a dwindling group of people that are very unpopular. But he still controls
the House. The Republicans still control the House, courtesy of Tea Party.
But he doesn't seem like he's in control of the Tea Party at the moment.
Boehner is not in control of anything. I completely agree with that.
His problem is he wants to stick to the Hastert rule that without a majority of Republicans, he doesn't want to sign on to anything, and he will not just do it with Democrats. If you have the majority of the House wants a clean resolution to solve the problem, but he is sticking to the Hastert rule, meaning without a majority of Republicans, he will not make a deal.
I have one prediction for 2014. John Boehner will not be the Speaker of the House. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, that's probably true.
Your moment of great we're going to have 2014 will be like 2010, and it will be a Republican who is very different than Boehner.
But you know what? At the end of the day, and I heard your prediction, I heard you agree with Tammy, but people are sick of it. They don't care. They don't care if he's going to keep his job or not, because right now they're feeling these guys in D.C., they're not doing their job.
But if there's real leadership, things will change.
Who's the real leadership? By whom? What are you inferring? What are you talking about?
Anybody who is not 30 years part of the D.C. structure and part of the Beltway. People aren't worried about cocktail parties who are worried about the American
but that means
people.
You go in there and clean out everybody and bring in new people? No. What do you do?
I don't know. I mean, Eric Cantor certainly would like to have Boehner's job, but it seems like he's also tied to the Tea Party, so he's not the likely replacement to John Boehner, because I think he's going to go down with that particular ship. I don't want to predict who the Republican leader will be, but that's their problem.
So are they going to lead this up to? So now we can talk about the debt ceiling and everything all at one time. Is that what's going to happen?
I would
think they're going to have a bigger problem now. I think who was it who said we want to take one bullet, not two? So I think they want to do it all at once, get it off their table, and get beyond this. They're desperately looking for a way out. And again, it's got to be a majority of Congress, so he's got to get rid of the Hastert rule and go with the majority. What the majority
wants. I think there's one section of people who are desperate, and that is Obama, and the fact that he is keeping veterans, even the Vietnam Veteran Memorial. They kick people out of that today.
That's not Obama's decision.
And they're closing the oceans.
That is for security purposes. That is the Secret Service and FBI that in the time of government shutdown.
This is the only shutdown where this has occurred.
That is not a decision made by the White House.
It is the only it's the only time in all of these last 20 years.
Tammy Bruce, Alan Colmes. I think people are able to hear what you both said, so they can decide for themselves. Thank you guys.
They know we like each other.
And so how to end the government shutdown will be a major topic, by the way, on Fox News Sunday tomorrow.